I love seeing myself on screen. That was the one thing about being a young actor on stage that I always wanted. I always wanted to see the plays I was in with me in them. So this is the perfect venue for me. I don't have one of those, oh my God, I can't stand myself on screen. I love watching my movies.
Samuel L. Jackson. Few names ring as synonymous with the world of cinema. An icon in Hollywood, one of the greatest actors to ever grace the silver screen.
Hey, if I don't want to see me, I wouldn't expect you to pay to see me. I'm a professional. I show up at work on time, I know my lines, I hit my marks, and I treat the other actors and the crew members with respect.
With a work ethic like no other, boasting a catalog of over 150 films, it's hard to doubt Jackson's status as one of the most important figures in cinema history.
I'm a college graduate. I'm a father, a husband, a son. I'm a good person with all that. I'm a citizen. I pay my taxes. I've never been arrested. I believe in education. I believe in one's, treating man the way you want man to treat you. Yeah, I'm a movie star to you. To me, I'm just a guy with an interesting job. I don't want to cut in line in front of you. I don't want to, lord it over you because you see me or I'm famous. I'm famous because you think I'm famous.
From his badass characters to his iconic use of the word, Jackson has captured the hearts of film fans the world over. However, even the most iconic figures have their struggles.
What are you afraid of?
Not going to work.
Why?
I don't want to be broke again.
You want some money?
Just finished Captain Marvel, here to start another film, so I'm a little busy.
She's right, you are the hardest working man in Hollywood.
Nah. I just try to keep going.
Jackson got his start in acting in New York with the Negro Ensemble Company, a theater group set up to provide African American, African, and Caribbean actors with opportunities to showcase their talents on stage.
I think I've always been a storyteller. I've always enjoyed exploring other places and things and high adventure, which was the goal in the beginning, I guess, to become the new Errol Flynn in my mind when I was a kid. I wanted to jump from ship to ship with a dagger in my mouth and sword fight my way across the world. But getting into theater and discovering how to explore the human condition, that there are a lot of different stories to tell, a lot of different ways to tell them, experiencing the joy of creating something that's believable to an audience. And once I was able to sit in an audience and watch myself do it, believe in myself while I was up there. So it's just a burning desire to, create.
The skills Jackson learned as a young theater actor were invaluable.
Well, when I get the script, or once they tell me I have the job, and I pretty much signed on the dotted line, I sit at home and do all the things that I did when I was a young actor in the theater. I sit at home, I find out who the character is, what his relationships are to the other people in the film. I do a biography for him. If I don't have any information, I make up the stuff. If I have information, I use what's there and create a whole person that I can use that has experiences and brothers, sisters, or whatever. And then I show up and kind of do it. That was a certain point that this wasn't part of my goal, I guess movie stardom or whatever, that I'd totally forgotten about it. And I was immersed in theater and doing all these wonderful plays. And I had done a couple of Pulitzer Prize winning plays and worked with some directors that gave me insight in how to go deeper into a character and how to relate to the stories and the people inside them in a different way, that the craft became so important to me that the result of the craft did not. So that when this happened, it was just kind of like, okay. But, being able to figure out how to stay in it, is the difficult part. Getting there, a lot of people get a shot. Some people get 2 or 3. But you got to figure out a way to stay there and make yourself important to the product and make yourself important to an audience. And I think that's the most important thing.
Having carved out his position as a theater actor in the New York scene, Jackson found there was one thing holding him back from making the transition from stage to screen.
You revealed recently that you've had a stutter.
Have a stutter.
Have a stutter, still?
Yeah. I guess when I'm doing characters, my characters don't stutter, so I don't have to worry about them. And it was funny, because when I was talking about it last week, I realized that I actually started to pretend to be people who didn't stutter when I was very young so that I wouldn't stutter. That seemed to be the thing that would work for me, that I had to go back and stop and say, well, where am I in the midst of all that, you know? How many people have I created to cover this thing to the point that maybe I've gotten lost in who I am, and I don't know.
So do you still have days when you're on set where you're...
Oh yeah, I have days, or, you know, some days it's B, some days it's P, some days it's G, and it all depends, you know. And I think probably the worst one for me are sentences that begin with W. I have W days a lot, so when the first thing I have to say is what, when, why, or whatever, depending upon the level of intensity and where we're trying to go, I'll get caught up with woo, 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 and it just gets me.
Despite his stutter, in 1989, Jackson was given the opportunity to work with one of the greatest directors in the world. The King of Brooklyn, Spike Lee.
Can you see yourself still having the same passion to do such a seminal film again?
To my last breath. Important thing for me is people are getting to express themselves and getting a chance to work in their craft. Because that's something I've always been very mindful of, is that I'm gonna work in my craft, work in my craft, work in my craft.
By 1989, Spike already had 2 successful titles under his belt, She's Gotta Have It and School Days. Jackson was given the chance to work alongside Spike for the first time when he was cast for the role of Mr. Senor Love Daddy in Do the Right Thing, a film which severely underachieved at festivals despite its good reviews.
From what you're saying, it doesn't matter to you whether one ever gets an Oscar or not.
Well, I've come to that point. I mean, before, there have been times in Cannes, 3 times we felt we got robbed.
In Cannes?
In Cannes, She's Gotta Have It, Do the Right Thing, and Jungle Fever. And we felt we deserved Best Picture with Do the Right Thing.
Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up you wake, up you wake, up you wake, up you wake! This is Mr. Senior Love Daddy, your voice of choice, the world's only 12-hour strong man on the air, here on We Love Radio 108 FM, the last on your dial, but first in your hearts, and that's the truth. Root. Here I am I here? You know it, you know. This is Mr. Senior Love Daddy doing the nasty to your ears to the nasty. Eyes only play the platters that matter, the matters they platter. And that's the root.
Although the film didn't receive festival awards, it left a lasting impact on those that watched, helping Jackson to solidify his name as a screen actor.
All those people lived together in Brooklyn, really lived together and coexisted. So that, that film made a statement in New York at a very critical time.
He filmed what he knew and what he felt through the circumstances where he lived, because it was a microcosm of so much of the rest of the country and the world.
People thought it was so incendiary. It wasn't that incendiary, but he really did kind of break, open doors to lots of different black filmmakers, black films that black people and white people will go see.
In 1988, Spike says he wanted an anthem. So in the winter of '88, while being on tour, I created a song and I was very surprised on Spike fitting it into the movie.
I've seen the movie about 8 times. In the movie, he said, wake up, stop, and, Radio Raheem and whatnot. It was just showing that there's a different way. And it's something that you can take into all aspects of your life. There's always a different, more positive way, productive way to handle our problems.
I knew one thing that it did. It motivated conversation, whether pro or con. People spoke about whether they hated it or loved it. And I suppose that's what makes an important movie, and I think that's what directors and actors hopefully are hoping for.
The cultural impact left by Do the Right Thing opened up a wealth of opportunities for Jackson, even if they were only small roles. Jackson's next film, Sea of Love, gave him the chance to work alongside Al Pacino. This was the first time in his career he was working alongside a big Hollywood star. Despite the experience gained on set, Jackson's small role was credited only as Black Guy, as he struggled to establish himself in a leading role. In the 1990 film Betsy's Wedding, Jackson was credited as Taxi Dispatcher. And in The Exorcist III, Jackson's credit was simply Dream Blind Man. However, the hard work paid off when in 1990, Jackson was cast to work with one of the greatest directors of all time. With a number of already successful titles, including Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and The Last Temptation of Christ, by 1990, Scorsese had already established himself as one of the greatest directors of our generation.
Well, he's kind of icon. He is the star, really, because he is Marty Scorsese. He's an amazing man. He'd seen everything I'd ever done, which was really weird. Films that, like Kitchen Toto, that I don't think more than 3 people have seen,
What is cinema? For me, there's only one answer. Cinema is necessary.
In the summer of 1989, Scorsese took on his biggest project yet, the biographical gangster film, Goodfellas. A project for which Jackson was fortunate enough to be cast in. After the commercial success of Goodfellas, grossing over $46.8 million domestically, Jackson was well on his way to becoming a leading Hollywood actor. However, like the characters in the film, Jackson too had his demons.
I don't want to be broke again.
We will also be armed, and we will have rams to take down doors when we have the proper search warrant, and we have our informants, and we have our undercover operatives, and we will go wherever crack is being sold.
This has reached epidemic proportions.
It is a crack epidemic, which police say is causing an increase in murder and other violent crime. An epidemic with no end in sight.
It's attractive to kids. It's attractive to a larger universe of people. You don't have to shoot it into your arm, so those people who are reluctant to put needles into their body can be drawn in.
With the crack cocaine epidemic raging through America, nobody was immune. And despite his early success, heroin and later crack cocaine became the norm for Jackson.
And a recent survey shows that over half those arrested for all crimes will now test positive for cocaine.
Having acted on drugs his whole career to this point, Jackson stated, "I was a drug addict and I was out of my mind a lot of the time, but I had a good reputation. Showing up on time, knew my lines, hit my marks." As a functioning drug addict, Jackson's turning point came in the early summer of 1990. While out for his friend Ruben Santiago Hudson's bachelor party, Jackson took it one step too far, stating that after the party he went by the spot, copped, went home, cooked the shit, and passed out before I had even smoked it, drunk. That's when my wife and daughter found me on the floor. It was at this point Samuel's wife, LaTanya Richardson Jackson, gave him the ultimatum: finish rehab or lose her. The next day, Jackson was booked into a rehab center in upstate New York, where his road to recovery began. Jackson spent 28 days in rehab, loathing every second of it. By the end of the 28 days, Jackson was revitalized. With a new hunger and passion for acting, he was ready to conquer Hollywood. While in rehab, Jackson spent a lot of time on the phone with longtime friend Spike Lee, trying to convince him to give him the supporting role in his upcoming film, Jungle Fever. Wanting the role of Gator Purify, a crack addict whose habits tear his family apart, Jackson's family and counselors believed that handling drug paraphernalia and discussing the joys of crack would inevitably trigger him and send him right back into his addiction. Despite this, less than 2 weeks after Jackson left rehab, he was working on Jungle Fever. Skinny and detoxing, Jackson was ready to bring first-hand knowledge to the role.
I made this one up just for you.
I paid a lot of money for these, honey. Take them. Take it. Sell it. Sell it. Take it. Sell it for me. For God's sake, Skip, please go.
I'll pray for you, my son. Father, I stretch my hands to thee.
Oh!
After filming, Jackson stated, "When my character died, it was almost like I was killing off that part of my life." Jackson's performance as the crack cocaine addict Gator in Spike Lee's Jungle Fever impressed the judges at Cannes so much that they created a Best Supporting Actor award to honor him.
You know, I've been knocking around for a while and doing a lot of different things. And, you know, I had this running joke with my agent at the time. I would call her and say, you know, did Hollywood call? And she'd go, no. Jungle Fever went to the Cannes Film Festival, and they created a special performance award for me that's never been given to anybody else. And all of a sudden, Hollywood was calling. And, you know, everything changed. I got into doing bigger and better films.
Refreshed and revitalized, Jackson was ready to conquer Hollywood. Taking on his first lead roles in 1993, playing an LA cop in the comedy Loaded Weapon, and acting alongside Nicolas Cage in Amos and Andrew. In 1993, Jackson was once again given the chance to work alongside one of the greatest directors of our generation, Quentin Tarantino.
HBO, can you tell us what it's like to work with Quentin Tarantino?
Very relaxed, very untraditional, open to new ideas, open to improvisations, fun.
Having already released the box office success Reservoir Dogs a year previous, Tarantino was one of the most talked about directors in the world, revolutionizing independent cinema.
What an amazing performance and an amazing character. Some great lines you had to work with.
Right. Consider who wrote the lines. I didn't. Who wrote the part? I didn't. Who wrote the story? I didn't. So that puts things in the proper perspective.
In 1993, Jackson was cast to play the role of Big Don in the Quentin Tarantino screenplay, True Romance. A film with a star-studded cast like nothing Jackson had worked with before.
It's when I saw it for the first time, I was like, God, this is like my life. None of that stuff ever happened to me, but it was like, this is like my life done as a big movie. It was just nutty. It was crazy.
Working on a film written by Tarantino allowed Jackson to establish a relationship with the director, a relationship that would prove fruitful for both. In 1992, off the back of the success of Reservoir Dogs and True Romance, Tarantino began to write his next screenplay, Pulp Fiction, a film that would go on to earn cult status as one of the most significant films of its generation. Earning nearly $108 million at the domestic box office, Pulp Fiction became the first independent film in history to surpass $100 million. Putting Jackson's name in the spotlight.
Because when I told everyone that I was interviewing you, everyone just went Pulp Fiction and started quoting at me.
Yeah, that's
some things I can't quote back to you, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But do you think that that's the film most people recognise you from, or?
Depends. It depends.
It depends, yeah.
There's a certain, I guess, age group that identifies with Pulp Fiction.
First time I saw it on the biggest screen I'd ever seen in my life at the Palais at Cannes at the film festival. Bruce Willis and I was sitting in the front row because we were shooting Die Hard, so we flew over and saw it for the first time together. And I was blown away. And I knew immediately that the film was special and that it would have a special meaning for people for a very, very, very long time to come.
The role of Jules Winfield earned Jackson his first ever Academy Award nomination.
Can we judge you for one sec?
No, it was good.
You were great in Pulp Fiction. Tell us, how was the night?
Oh, I had a good time. We had a great time. John and I presented. We had a good time. We saw, the whole crew. It's good seeing all you kids there. First time for me. It's good.
What was the highlight of your first Oscar?
Gosh, I guess going out there and presenting and being applauded. People seem to receive us very well.
Being nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Jackson lost out narrowly to Martin Landau for his role in Ed Wood. Jackson was now one of the most in-demand names in Hollywood.
Wait. I'll do this. Yes.
HBO, can you tell us what it's like to work with Quentin Tarantino?
A lot of fun.
Yeah?
Quite a bit of fun. But everybody always wants to know if I know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese and France. And Pulp Fiction, has this wonderful quality about it that every year I gain, somewhere between 5 and 10 million fans because kids become of age and they're allowed to watch it for the first time, or they've heard their brothers or somebody talk about it, sisters talk about it, and now they get to watch it, and all of a sudden they think it's the coolest movie they've ever seen in their lives, and I get a regeneration of fans, so it's kind of all right like that.
Despite not winning an award, Jackson's role as Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction will be remembered as one of the most iconic characters in film history, elevating Jackson's career once again.
Jules, your character in Pulp Fiction, is the ultimately cool bad guy, isn't he?
I don't know. I guess he is to some people. To me, he's just a character. He was a guy. He had a job. He did his job a specific way. He was a professional. He was good at his job. He was not distracted when he was doing his job. That's why John Travolta got killed and I didn't, because he got distracted.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the inequities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
After a successful festival circuit which saw Pulp Fiction winning an Academy Award for writing, Jackson's life was changing.
Is that going to change your life at all, do you think?
I don't know. You know, the last one changed my life in a very distinct kind of way. I mean, my phone wouldn't stop ringing, and we had to change our phone number, and I went to a lot of strange, you know, luncheons and dinners with strange kind of tuna was dry, and the stuff they put on it was wet. So my dietary habits changed very much. I guess I might get another kind of script. You know, things aren't going to change that much. It's pretty constant now. You know, I get to read a lot of interesting things. Hopefully, I've been doing the kind of work that people think of as quality work for a while now, and I don't plan on changing that. If I could get more and more scripts where the casting would be as colorblind as some of the other things that I read, that would be a good thing. But right now, you know, the quality of the work and the kind of people that I work with seems to be a lot more important than the awards that come along with it.
Despite his high demand, Jackson's next films failed to impress. Appearing in box office flops, Kiss of Death, Losing Isaiah, and The Great White Hype. With critics blasting his films, Jackson found himself in a career slump. However, although Jackson's performances weren't to critics' liking, he appeared in 8 films over a 2-year period, keeping active and ensuring he was ready for his next big break.
You are a busy man. You seem to be everywhere. Do you ever just say, wow, I need to take a break? Or what's going on with your career?
No, a lot of people around me say that, but I tend to think...
You don't listen to them.
No, I don't. I actually tend to think I get enough rest and relaxation most times when I'm on location. I have down days where I just don't do anything but play golf, and that's okay. And when I'm home, it's a lot harder to work at home than it is on the road. But I'm not thinking about taking a break.
Everybody's asking you about what you do as an actor. I want to ask you what you do when you're not acting.
What do I do when I'm not acting? I watch movies.
Okay, when you're not watching movies, what else do you do?
Read books, play golf, a lot.
Although Jackson's schedule is busier than all of his peers, he has always found time for his second passion, golf.
I'm an avid golfer, let's put it that way.
Don't you make sure you get time scheduled out of filming to have a round of golf?
I have a strange clause in my contract that says I have to play twice a week and they have to pay for it.
Why not? You have.
Yeah.
As well as having it written into his working contracts, Jackson has used golf to help multiple charity events, supporting those that are less fortunate.
Just some of the celebrities in this Shooting Stars benefit at Wentworth Golf Course, which includes the likes of Colin Montgomery.
Lovely shot. Now, don't go in there.
Jesse Metcalfe.
It's been a rough first hole, but I'll get it there eventually.
And Michael Bolton. They're all here at the request of Mr. Jackson, or Sam to his friends, who's hosting the event to raise money for charity.
We try and find people that enjoy the game and get them to come and have fun with, just some guys that want to meet them and kind of laugh at the way we play.
Surely no one's going to laugh at the way you play.
They might. I haven't played in a few days, so.
Plus, it's important that we give back to the community at large and do as much as we can for people who aren't as fortunate as we are, or people who have needs.
So what is it about this industry that you love the most and that you hate the most?
Well, I love the fact that I'm able to choose the jobs that I'm doing now and that I am acting and doing that stuff. I hate the part that's the politics of trying to convince people that I am still the guy that they need to put in their films. You know, that hadn't changed very much at all.
In 1997, Jackson was once again given the opportunity to work with Quentin Tarantino when he was cast to play Ordell Robbie in Jackie Brown.
Well, it's always great to be on a Tarantino set. He brings a lot of enthusiasm to the cast, the crew, to the neighborhoods that we're working in, because it was his neighborhood, and he was anxious to show us, you know, this is where I grew up. This is Carson. This is the Del Amo Mall. So it was great, you know, just kind of being around and being fun. And he still listens to the stuff, laughs out loud in the middle of a take, and you have to start over. So it's just a joy, you know, to be there. And the fun that we have consequently transfers, I think, to the screen. So when you watch it, you're seeing people who are really enjoying being themselves and having a great time.
Nothing gets between me and my AK.
This here is the Chinese model. I get them for $8.50. Double my money. Try that for me, would you, baby?
You know it's for you. With over 50
Girl, don't make me put my foot in your ass.
The AK-47 is the most popular assault rifle in the world. This is the Chinese model. You can tell by the extra rivets running through the struts. Hello, it's for you.
Jackson earned a Best Actor Silver Bear at the Berlin Film Festival for his role in Jackie Brown, as well as the invaluable experience gained from working alongside someone with the stature of two-time Academy Award-winning actor Robert De Niro. Samuel L. Jackson was back and ready to take on one of the biggest roles in his career.
In America, people were queuing for tickets more than a month before the film opened. The Phantom Menace took more than £60 million in its first 5 days. Following tonight's royal premiere, attended by Prince Charles, the film opens in Britain tomorrow and will be showing in some 500 cinemas up and down the country by the weekend.
I figured it'd be one little movie and that would be it. And it just grew.
He thought he might well have a big failure on his hands. And when the executives in Hollywood first saw it, they decided that it might be better to cut it up and make it into a children's TV serial for Saturday mornings. That's how much confidence they had in it.
With episode 1, I said, well, it's going to be about a 9-year-old boy. Everybody thought I was crazy. And if I was doing it for a studio, I know they would never let me do that. People were very nervous that it was going to fail. So it wasn't a slam dunk or anything, but it did. You know, that one did very well at the box office, and then they've all done well at the box office. So now I can put them together and say it's one movie, and it should be thought of as one movie.
It's got these wonderful special effects. That's one thing. But much more important than that, unlike a lot of the special effects movies these days, it's got a lot of character and charm. It's got characters everybody remembers. It's got heroes and villains. It's like a piece of mythology. And, you know, that's one thing Hollywood seems to have lost now. They make these huge, great movies with all state-of-the-art special effects, but they forget about character, they forget about charm. Well, George Lucas didn't.
This is actually phenomenal as advance bookings go.
In 1999, Jackson was given one of his biggest opportunities to date, a chance to work with George Lucas and be part of the global phenomenon, Star Wars.
Well, we always want to do things in our careers that will be remembered. And you never know what that will be or if that opportunity will present itself. This is kind of like a guarantee, so I'm really pleased to be a part of it. I had an opportunity to say, may the force be with you. That's a great moment. It's something that, you know, you never think you'll say. It's something that when you're sitting in a theater, when you're a young actor, you wish for, and it's like a dream come true. So I'm really happy to be here.
Playing the role of Mace Windu, Star Wars would take Jackson's career to a whole new galaxy.
Master Windu. I take it General Grievous has been destroyed then. I must say you're here sooner than expected.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest, Chancellor.
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
The Senate will decide your fate.
I am the Senate.
Not yet.
Jackson went on to play Mace Windu in 3 live-action Star Wars films, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, solidifying his name in the franchise. After the success of Star Wars, Jackson had put his name on the map, appearing in multiple box office hits, including Kill Bill Volume 2, Coach Carter, and The Incredibles.
It's fantastic. I mean, Sam Jackson's one of our greatest actors alive. So the world is, you know, in the palm of his hand. Anything is possible for Sam Jackson.
Renowned by critics worldwide, The Incredibles would become timeless, being watched by all generations.
That movie gets seen by people. They have kids, their kids get older, and then their grandkids, or their nieces and nephews, whatever. The first movie was often in somebody's house over those 14 years. So in a way, it was like the movie didn't go away, like maybe a traditional movie might. The Incredibles is a movie that gets reintroduced when young ones are around.
Honey!
What?
Where's my super suit?
What?
Where is my super suit?
Put it away!
Where?
Why do you need to know?
I need it!
Don't you think about running off to doing no daring do? We've been planning this dinner for 2 months.
The public is in danger!
My evening's in danger!
You tell me what my suit is, woman! We are talking about the greater good!
Greater good? I am your wife. I'm the greatest good you are ever gonna get.
The Incredibles would go on to make $631 million at the box office worldwide, as well as becoming Jackson's highest ever rated film. Voicing the fan-favorite character, Frozone, Jackson's career had reached an all-time high, allowing him to choose the projects he's most interested in. Having acted across some of the biggest film franchises in the world, Jackson took a different path when in 2006, he took on the leading role in David Ellis's Snakes on a Plane.
There was no script. I don't even know if there was a script when I agreed to do it. I actually kind of saw that a friend of mine was directing a film called Snakes on a Plane, and I emailed him to see what it was, and he told me it was poisonous snakes loose on a plane. Oh, wow, can I be in that? And he was like, you really want to be in this? I'm like, I want to be in the movie. So that's how it happened. Well, that's the thing. I mean, the title is what got me, and I'm sure it's what got all those people on the net. That when you hear that name, you have a very clear picture of what that is. We have them pretty fast moving because the snakes in this film are actually snakes that have been sprayed with pheromones, so they're pretty aggressive and vicious, kind of like snakes on crack.
Earning cult status amongst fans months before release, Snakes on a Plane saw an internet frenzy like no other.
Unusually for a new film, and perhaps to maintain the internet frenzy, no critic has been allowed a preview of the film. Everyone has had to buy their tickets and wait in line.
You could kind of tell that it was written on the internet because it's pretty crazy. It's the most unusual film I've ever seen. It's great.
You've got action, Samuel L. Jackson, nudity. What more can you want?
It could possibly be a pheromone. That's what female animals release to trigger mating behavior. It could also provoke serious hyper-aggression, like some kind of drug.
Well, that's good news. Snakes on crack.
The film would go on to receive mixed reviews from critics. However, like most projects Jackson works on, it has a timeless quality that has stood the test of time. By 2008, Jackson was one of the biggest names in Hollywood, having worked with the most renowned directors in the world. In 2002, Jackson gave Marvel permission to use his likeness in their comic book version of Nick Fury. Nearly 7 years later, he had signed a 9-picture deal with Disney.
When you first got the call, back in the day, for Nick Fury, what was your reaction? Did you go, who?
I didn't get the call, I kind of made the call.
Did you?
Well, yeah, I was in a comic book store and I looked and there was my face on this Nick Fury guy and him saying, well, if they make a movie, I want Samuel L. Jackson to play me in this movie. So I had to call my agent and my manager and go, did I give somebody permission to use my image in a comic book? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I told them, and they called Marvel, and Marvel was like, oh, well, you know, we were hoping if we make these movies, he would do it. Yeah, I have an extended appearance in the Avengers. I kind of bring them all together, and we all kind of get into it together and fight to save the world.
Have you seen a bit of a badass in this? Is it gonna be-
A bit, yeah. You finally get to see exactly who Nick Fury is, yeah.
So you're gearing up for obviously a spin-off, or Avengers, or what?
I got a 9-picture deal. I mean, you know, you got to know more about the news than I do. I got a 9-picture deal. Eventually, I want to make all 9 of them, or they're gonna kill me. So I got to make them. I don't know what they are. I'll be part of. Downey's not gonna leave you. He'll be on. I'm not in Thor. I'm probably in Captain America, and you know, so there's stuff coming. And the Avengers will eventually show up.
Jarvis. Welcome, Holmes.
I am Iron Man. You think you're the only superhero in the world? Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet.
Who the hell are you?
Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
The success of the Avengers films helped the Marvel Cinematic Universe gain the status of the highest-grossing film franchise of all time, meaning that Jackson had now played major roles in the top 2 highest-grossing franchises, the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Star Wars. In 2012, Jackson took on the role of Steven, a loyal house slave in Quentin Tarantino's Western drama, Django Unchained, a film that wasn't short of controversy.
They wants that girl.
Steven, what the hell are you talking about?
They playing your ass for a fool, is what I'm talking about. They ain't here for no muscle-bound Jimmy. They here for that girl.
What girl? What, Hildy?
Yeah, Hildy. Her and Django, them niggas know each other.
He just bought Eskimo Joe.
Did he give you any money?
No, not yet, but
then he ain't bought diddly. Not yet, no, huh?
An absolutely phenomenal film. I have to say, and I'm sorry to say this, but I couldn't stand your character in the film.
Thank you.
Did you hate your character too?
No, I love Steven every day.
How did you even, you know, go forward and kind of even, you know, I don't know, embracing him?
He kind of embraced the fact that Steven's sort of the freest slave in the history of slavery. And he has a way of life that's kind of comfortable for him. Slavery's been going on for a pretty good while. He thinks he's going to go on forever, so he's trying to find his way to be as comfortable as he can in it.
And there's a lot of controversy surrounding this film. Do you think it's justified?
No.
Amid the release of Django Unchained, critics and viewers began questioning the film's use of violence and racial slurs. Amongst those to speak out against the film was Jackson's longtime friend, Spike Lee.
Are you very disappointed by some of the reactions, Spike Lee especially?
Oh, I couldn't be happier with the reaction to this movie. It's been fantastic.
It's good publicity, I suppose. But
Well,
I mean,
no. It's creating a nice debate. Even the people who don't like the film, all right, are actually I am responsible for people talking about slavery in America in a way that they have not in 30 years.
You know, art is supposed to stimulate and create conversation and stir emotions, and hopefully this film's doing that. And when people do that, they learn things about themselves and about the world. So that's wonderful.
People have always spoken about your films having a lot of anger, and it's like, oh, he just needs to sort of calm down now. He's just full of so much anger. And then you get to a film like this, and suddenly everyone's now looking back at your films and thinking, actually, what you were saying was making a lot of sense.
People are late. But I will say this. I don't walk around a constant fit of anger. And also, if you just take Do Right Thing, Malcolm X, and the Black Klansman, I mean, those, I've been making my 4th decade of film. Those are only 4 films, so I've been doing other stuff. I have other interests. but I'm angry.
So you can't be surprised by the controversy that's come along with it?
Well, you can't. I don't think you can actually make a movie about slavery in America that it's not going to be controversial.
My politics are my politics, and I don't use my politics on screen. And I am who I am. I'm a product of, like you said, the segregated South. I remember when America had apartheid. I was part of it. You know, I was there. There were places I couldn't go. There were things I couldn't do. And they inform who I am, but they don't inform how I act in the world. I mean, I'm not bitter about that. I just understand something about my country that a lot of other people don't understand.
Well, violence is such a big part of all of your movies, and it's an enjoyable part of your movies for so many people, and that's why I'm talking about this, because, you know, it's a very sensitive time at the moment. I mean, the Vice President is talking to people in the movie industry today about violence in response to
And you know where I stand on it.
Which is that there's no relationship. And,
yes.
But you haven't said why you think there's no relationship.
It's none of your damn business what I think about that.
Well, it's my job to ask you why you think that, because you're very influential.
No.
He didn't want to talk about the issue, and he got pretty annoyed about it. And you share a similar view to him from the interviews that I've read, in that you've said you don't think there's any link between movie violence and video games and real-life gun crime. Is that what you think, and if so, why?
Well, I actually grew up playing with guns. I mean, we had toy guns. We had toy guns. If Christmas was not Christmas, if I didn't get a new toy gun, a cap pistol or something. And we shot at each other, we chased each other with these guns, we did all this stuff. And none of my friends ever shot anybody. We also had real guns in my house, and I shot those too, in the woods or at cans or at birds or whatever. And we still never turned those guns on each other. We understood what guns did to a human being, or what gun violence actually was. We understood it very well. I don't think one thing has to do with the other. That sitting in a movie theater watching people shoot each other doesn't make people want to go out and shoot other people, not people who are not mentally unbalanced. I read books all my life. Books have violence in them, even the Bible. There's violence in all those books. It's not just movies. People need to understand parents have a responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility to make people better people. It's your parents' responsibility to make you a better person.
Despite the controversy, Django went on to make over $425 million at the box office, as well as earning both Tarantino and Christoph Waltz Academy Awards. Ten years later, Samuel L. Jackson would be honored with an honorary Academy Award of his own for exceptional contribution to motion picture arts.
I guess, you know, that I have achieved the goal of creating a body of work that has resonated not just among, you know, American fans, but, you know, worldwide, and sort of an international reputation for being in films that people like to see and doing characters that people remember. So it's worth it, yeah.
With a career spanning over 50 years, playing some of the most iconic roles in film, Samuel L. Jackson has cemented his name in the history of cinema.
The thing that happened for me that really made a big difference was when Sir Laurence Olivier died. I was sitting at home, and they were doing his bio that day, and they put his face up on screen, and they started to talk about him, and as they talked about him, they morphed through all these different characters that he'd done. And I said, that's what you need to do.
With a growing catalog of over 150 films, few actors will ever come close to the longevity and determination of Jackson.
Sam is like the coolest actor on the planet. You know, he's the guy that comes along that says the like cool things that people come out of theater and they just like, they become part of the lexicon, they become part of the vocabulary.
From small cameo roles to becoming the highest grossing actor of all time, Jackson's conquest of Hollywood is like no other. He brings a personal flair to his work through his badass attitude and trademark potty mouth, defining his roles as Samuel L. Jackson characters.
So I started figuring out ways of making each character unique, and then all of a sudden people started talking about the wigs I wore in films, and you know, I wanted them all to have their own face and, you know, their own, you know, characteristics and personas.
because I found a way to reinvent myself most of the times that you see me on film, that I take roles that are challenging to me and somewhat challenging to the audiences when they see me, so that they'll accept me as somebody new and not just Samuel L. Jackson again.
His wittiness, comedic timing, and intensity are unrivaled. Paired with his ability to draw emotions from an audience and sobering scenes, make him one of the greatest actors to ever grace our screens. And with several productions in the pipeline, thankfully, we haven't seen the last of Jackson yet.
I travel a lot to promote my films. I've been in a lot of different countries and pretty well known wherever I go. So I guess, I've succeeded in creating something that people are interested in, and people do tend to go and see my film and like the things that I do or like the work that I put into it. So I'm pretty happy.